Right, I'm just making another video. This is Benidorm trips. So you go into Benidorm and you think, what can we do if you don't want to lounge around on a sun lounge or in the pool, and you fancy going out and doing some trips? What is available? Now, I would normally use around town travel. Anybody who knows where it is, it's a bit further down the hill from the Dynastic on the other side of the road, and they're pretty reliable. I'd also use them for airport transfers. If you need an airport transfer, you can go in there, book a taxi for a pickup to take you to the airport, and it's definitely a bit cheaper than getting a taxi off the street. I think we were getting an airport transfer for about sort of 65 quid, as opposed to maybe 75 quid if you were picking a taxi up off the street. So it's probably 10 quid cheaper, and it'll wait outside your hotel. Now, I've found 10 things you can do in Benidorm. I've made some notes. And the first trip that all the tourist operators seem to do, or you might even have your rep in your hotel saying, "Oh, do you want to go to Guadalest?" Now, Guadalest is like a sort of a medieval stone village out of Benidorm. It's all got sort of stone paved streets and stone buildings, and basically people live. It's more like a little village, but people live in the village just to do the tourism. So they make things, like pictures and things you can hang on your wall and all this kind of thing. And also, what they do, there's a little fruits. It looks a bit like a rugby ball, but orange basically. So it's an little orange fruit, but it looks like a rugby ball. And they're grown locally, and they're mainly exported to Japan. The Japanese love these. I think they're called numeros or something like that. They're called these little fruits. And when you walk around the shops in Guadalest, you can buy liqueurs and jams made out of these fruits. There is also some museums and some like miniature museums. So you can pay €10 and you can go in. And some guy spent his life's work making a miniature version of a town, and it's got a railway and an airport and little buildings and all this kind of thing. So you can do that. And there's like a little castle thing that you can go round and walk up to the tower and look out, and then you can look out over the reservoir that's there. Some of the tour operators are doing a boat trip round the reservoir. I've done that, and basically they take you out on an electric boat that probably holds about 25 people, and you can have a nice little sail round the reservoir. And say some people are doing the trips around the reservoir, some people are only doing the trips to Guadalest, but well worth going, I would say. If the weather's looking a bit shit or whatever, or you fancy a break, book your trip, go to Guadalest. The next place you can go to I think it's called Cana Libra caves. Now, there's some caves just outside of Benidorm, and they're sort of like Jurassic caves. I think there was dinosaurs in there at one point, and it's quite impressive. There's stalactites and stalagmites, and apparently during the Spanish Civil War, Franco was hiding his explosives and his dynamite in this cave, and I think sticking bodies in the cave as well. But well worth a trip, and it's got a nice little restaurant as well. When you book a trip to these caves, every time you go, they'll always on the bus they'll say, "Oh, do you want to take the meal deal?" And you basically get a baguette and a wine or a beer for about €10, I think. I think if you turn up on the day, it's €15. But I tell you what, the wine's really nice, the food's okay, and I would recommend that you take the meal deal. Now, another trip that people are doing is a trip to Maria. And funnily enough, I've got a local guy in Bourne that does drain and blocking, and he is from Maria. We've been there, and it's a really nice, it's a posh little seaside town, very Spanish, really posh shops, ice cream. It's really nice, well worth a trip, I would say. There's some like medieval, like not medieval, like Napoleonic defences, some little like stone fort things as well you can have a look at. Well worth a trip if you fancy going to Maria. Right, boat trips. Now there's boat trips. If you go to Benidorm Harbour, there is boat trips, and you can basically take a boat trip, and you can go to Calpe, you can go to Alicante, and then you can go to Peacock Island, which is that lump of rock that you can see from the beach, just off Benidorm. I don't think there's anything there. It's just like, I think they've got like a restaurant, but it's basically just like birds. My mate calls it Bird Shit Island. So the boat trips, if you want to go to Calpe or you want to go to Alicante, it's only any good though if the weather's okay. This is not a trip for going in, November, December. It's a trip that you do in the summer. The only other thing I would say is as well is the boat trips go quite early. So I've had a look on the internet, and they're saying about 10:40 is departure time, and they're pretty much sticklers. So I reckon you'd have to be down to the harbour at about 10 o'clock if you wanted to catch one of them boat trips. Right, the next trip is there just outside of Benidorm. There is a Carrefour and a shopping centre. Now I know this is not very exciting, and you're on your holidays and you think, why do I want to walk around a shopping centre or a Carrefour? But to be honest, the Carrefour has got a lot of stuff in it. You can buy a moped, you can buy car parts, you can buy a car battery, you can buy a tyre. Imagine that. Going, I'll stick a tyre in my suitcase and take it home. Car polish. Things that I've bought in the past have been car polish. I've bought frying pans. I've bought tools. I've bought, screwdrivers, things like that. I would say if the weather's crap and you're bored one afternoon, think to yourself, right, I tell you what, we'll go and do the Carrefour. And you want a number 10 bus. A number 10 bus goes to the Carrefour. It is a bit of a trek. I reckon the bus takes about 45 minutes, and then when you get to the Carrefour, there's a bus stop, and you can get a bus back to Benidorm. Now, another trip you can do, which is sometimes they mix this in with the Guadalest trip. There is the Alicante winery. Now, a lot of these reps and that, when they're selling it, they'll go, "Oh, do you want to go to a vineyard? Oh, yes, I'd like that." But it's not a vineyard. It's basically a bottling plant. But you can go and they do like little taster cups of wine. And I was there maybe for about half an hour. And by the time I got back on the bus, I was feeling quite pissed because I was having all these free samples of wine. So the Alicante winery, if you have a look online, there's trips to that. Again, I would say well worthwhile. The Benidorm market. Now, the Benidorm market's on a Sunday. It starts really early. Normally, you want to be down there at maybe like 9, 10 o'clock. It's no good going down to it's no good like waking up at like 11 o'clock and then thinking, right, I'll have a walk down to the market, because you get there at 12 o'clock, they're packing away and it's gone. The market is good for fake goods. If you want to get yourself a fake handbag, Michael Kors handbag or something like that, or shoes or trainers, fake goods. There's aloe vera products as well down the market. You've got to be careful though, because there is pickpockets. It is quite sort of dodgy, so keep your eye on your possessions. But again, if you're bored on a Sunday, I would say the Benidorm market is well worth a trip. Right, so that was number 6. That was the number 6 trip, and we've got number 7, which is Terra Mythica. Now I'm going to Terra Mythica with my son in May. And Terra Mythica, the whole thing is open, what they call high season. So it's open from the 28th of June to the 7th of September. So it's open all the time. That is what they call the high season. So it's open all the time. Now, the low season, I think there is 6 areas, and there's only 4 areas open. That's when me and my son are going, and we're going, I think, May the 22nd or something like that. But it's open in the low season from the 16th of May to the 27th of June. Well worth the trip. You know, it's your pretty much your standard sort of Universal Studios, Disney, theme park. There's roller coasters. There's quite a lot of these sort of indoor rides where you'll sit on it's like hydraulic seating, and there'll be a movie screen, and then the seats will sort of move you around and spray air at you and spray moisture at you. There's a bit of that going on. There's log flumes and things like that. If you're going with kids, they're going to love it. You know, well worth a trip. So now we're going to trip 8, Terra Nature. There is a zoo in Benidorm, and I've been a couple of times, and got quite a lot of animals. You know, elephants, tigers, all this sort of thing. There's like a farmyard you can walk through, and the animals are roaming about. So there's like goats and things like that, and you can stroke them. There's like snakes, crocodiles, all your usual. But it is quite expensive. You know, if you're a tight arse, it's not for you, because an adult ticket is €38. A child ticket is €32. I think when I went and I took the family, it cost me over €100. So if you're a tight-wadded fisty, it's not for you. The next thing is, now we're on trip 9, Mundo Mar. And Mundo Mar, that's like a zoo, more for aquatic animals. Yeah. And it's got, dolphins and sea lions. I think there's like, I think there's like a killer whale, I think, even in there. That's all right. That's quite pleasant. It's one of them. Mundamar's good for an afternoon. You know, just turn up, get a taxi up there, afternoon ticket. I don't think it was that expensive. I think it was about sort of 25, 30 euros, 25 euros, I think. And second thing I would suggest as well to you is that Mundamar. There's two. There's like a theme park next door to it, where you can go on sort of water rides, but that is only open sort of during the summer. But if you are going to Mundamar, what I would suggest to you is, if you can put some swimming trunks on underneath your clothes, because there is an opportunity to have your picture took with a dolphin. There's like a dolphin show, and it's literally like 15 quid, and you can go in the water. You can touch the dolphin. It goes quack quack, or whatever noise the dolphin makes, and you can have your picture taken. 15 quid. So if you're going with kids, it's a nice little thing to do. Right. So the last thing I want to talk about is, this is the last ideas for trips, is the Benidorm service buses. Now, there's loads of buses from Benidorm. You can go to all the towns that are round about. You can go to sort of Altea, Albia. And if you have a look online, it's called the BenidormGuide.com, right? And this is what it looks like. And it tells you all the routes. And it tells you where the buses are going, yeah. So yeah, again, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, and you think, we'll get a service bus. There's these waterfalls everybody goes to, and they pay, I don't know, £25 for a trip to these waterfalls. You can actually get service bus. That's on there. and you can just get a service bus to the waterfalls and pay you whatever, you €4 to get in, and it's cost you sod all, as opposed to paying a lot of money for a trip. So that's all I'm doing for now. I hope you found that interesting. Please like and subscribe, and I will probably see you next time, and I might do the restaurants or the nightlife, but that's all I'm doing for now. Okay, cheers, bye.